Welcome to the third episode of the Basics of Stock Markets series, and in this one we're going to talk about funds, we're going to talk about brokers, and we're going to talk about more of execution related things that you possibly require or things that will come in handy when you actually place your first order. So without any further ado, let's get started, and I will minimize my screen as usual, making it really small. I think that's good enough. Alright, so arrange funds, choose a decent broker and get started. So I'll just make sure I have the pointer on. Now some info on brokers. So brokers are required, of course, I'm sure you know that, but you can choose a good broker based on brokerage costs first, because ultimately it's going to end up becoming a big cost for you, as you will see in the next slide. Reliability. You want to make sure that your broker is reliable. You don't want something where one fine day you try to log into your broking account and then it just does not open because their server is down. That's not something that you want. So reliability is a very important factor. So is the platform. Many brokers have their own platform, many have outsourced platforms like Nest and such. What you want to make sure is that your broker's platform should be good enough for you. If you're a very avid trader, if you're a proper trader, or if you want to be a proper trader, this will come in especially handy because many third-party brokers or many unknown or unheard of brokers typically don't have the best platforms. Some brokers that I know of that have good platforms are Zerodha, Fires, Upstocks, Motilal Oswal, IIFL, and a couple of others, but just make sure Angel Broking. Basically, the more common ones have good platforms, and you'll be fine if you go with them. There is a learning curve to each because all of them are made differently, but honestly, it's just a matter of getting used to it more than anything. As long as a certain minimum criteria is met, you're good to go. Service. It's very important because some of my brokers, because I have multiple accounts, some of my brokers are terrible. They will not answer support queries that often, and it will just not be a smooth process, and that becomes an issue when tax season comes in. So make sure that your broker is one that's reputed, good service. From what I have experienced, most of the bigger brokers are, so you won't have an issue there. I don't want to name names on either side, but most of the bigger brokers are fairly good. And reporting, we spoke about tax, that when tax season comes in, it becomes a pain if their service isn't good. It becomes a double pain if their reporting isn't good, because some brokers, even the big brokers, some big brokers have terrible reporting where their trade books and their holdings will not match with what's already there and what's accounted for. And once you have a certain once you reach a certain level in the eyes of the income tax authorities, you have to go for a tax audit, which adds extra pain for reporting and such. So basically it's a thing, it's something you need to consider. But given that this is the age of information, most brokers just cannot afford to not give these services. So generally you should be fine. Margin is another thing which is not really very relevant for newer people, because it's something which is like playing with fire. If you win, you get big. If you lose big. So that's something. Now, brokerage and reliability. Transaction costs have killed my gains, personally speaking, because if you're earning, let's say 500 on a trade and the brokerage charges you 300 bucks, then you're shit out of luck, because you're barely getting 40% of that, of that 500 rupees that you earned in your hand. And this 300 may or may not include STT and further taxes. Plus, on this 200, if your income is above that bracket, then you'll have to pay further income tax. Essentially, you will be left with 150 out of your 500 rupees, and that's a terrible situation to be in, which is why it's best to choose a low-cost broker, at least if your account size is not that large, or if your trade size is, especially large, but you're still a retail person. Low-cost brokers make a lot of sense because it's generally 15 to 20 rupees each side, so you pay 40 rupees total for buy and sell, and that's the cap. So no more than 40, plus you pay taxes, and that's again not really a big amount. So if you're earning 500, you might possibly get around 350, 400 in hand, and that's a better deal than this. And some brokers face issues on high volume days. As I said, you don't want such a thing to happen where you try to log into your broking account and it just won't let you log in. This is something I've experienced even on some massive big brokers, big name brokers. I won't name them, but if you Google, you will find tons of articles and tons of reviews. So you can do that digging if you want. Reporting and taxation, you need to file tax returns. Let's be honest, we don't want to be evaders, we want to be planners. We don't want to be tax evaders, we want to be tax planners. Tax planning is not illegal, it is encouraged. So for all of that, for tax planning, you need good reports, and even for tax filing, you need good reports. So some brokers don't give decent reports, as I said. Just make sure you check with your CA that, hey, do you have any idea of which broker is good in terms of the big name brokers? Just make sure that he's giving you good advice or she's giving you good advice, because many CAs can have tie-ups with brokers, just get an extra buck or here. So make sure that your CA is also reliable. Now, what's margin? It's essentially leverage. It's actually exactly leverage. So if you've put 5,000 rupees in your account, some brokers give 10x intraday margin. What that means is that you can purchase intraday trades up to 50,000 rupees, which is a lot. Literally 10 times of your initial investment. But it also means that if your day's loss is 80% of your deposit, let's say you trade with 50,000, but your day's loss is 80% of 5,000, which is 4,000, if my math isn't absolutely wrong, then you're gonna have to, square off that position. In fact, your broker is going to exit that position, and you're out of luck basically. Either this happens, or they'll give you a margin call where you have to deposit additional money. If you don't, then it gets cancelled. Now, SEBI has tweaked the margin rules in a way where they've sort of prevented this from happening, but they've also made the penalty for not complying with this very stiff. So this is a very important thing, and generally I avoid recommending margin to newer people, because if you're not careful, you can really do some massive damage. For instance, if your risk bearing capacity is of 5,000 and you're trading with 20,000 rupees, you take margin, you trade with 2 lakh. That 5,000 rupees to manage on an investment of 2 lakh rupees becomes extremely difficult. So it's just not a pleasant thing, and losing 20k on 2 lakh on a wrong position is very easy. So it's just something that I recommend newer people not to get into unless you're very careful. So again, avoid margin altogether when you're starting out. My personal opinion and recommendation. So by the way, none of the episodes in this series are recommendations or stock tips, purely for educational and informational purposes. Let me just be very clear about that. Now, how to place trades and what challenges or what things you'll see when you try to place trades. Market Watch, or your watch list, is a list of securities that you've selected to keep an eye on. You'll see the prices, you'll see the ticks, you'll see the percentage change, and so on. Holdings are a list of securities or stocks that you already own. Positions are the list of open positions for the day. For instance, if you've bought Reliance, then that will come up under your position for the day, because it's a position you've taken in on that day. Market depth is the information on volumes, buyers, sellers, order details, all sorts of things like that. Charts, we spoke about this in episode number 2, so you can just reference to that. Indicators, again, episode 2, you can check that out. Tools, again, episode 2, you can check that out. Orders is something we haven't spoken about. Stop loss, very important thing. It stops your loss, and it's so in stop loss limit, when you want to square off position or accept a loss. And market is, essentially, what happens is that, let's say you've bought a certain stock at 350 rupees. You think that ठीक है 330 के नीचे जाएगा, मेरे को बेचना है. So below 330 you want to sell. You place a stop loss order. If you place a stop loss limit order, you have to say that, okay, system, like you tell the system, okay, system, below 330 I want to sell at 329. So the system will say कि ठीक है, I accept your order. In a stop loss market order, what you say is, system, below 330 I want to sell at the market. मतलब any price below 330. And SLM orders, stop loss market orders, are also used for going long above a certain price. For instance, let's say I want to buy at any price above 375. I'll say that, hey system, 375 is my limit, like I want to buy only above that. Once the price goes above 375, you can fill my order at the market rate, whatever is going on. So these are the two types of orders. Now, limit order is essentially a limit, a hard price that you set. For instance, if you want to buy 356.35, you say that I only want to buy at 356.35, not a penny less, not a penny more. Market is enter into a position at the prevailing price. Very simple to understand. Risk management, and this deserves its own slide, honestly. The best way to, and not just a slide, it in fact deserves its own episode, which will come shortly, hopefully. So risk management is, again, how you manage your risk, how you manage your downside. So let's say if you've got 20,000 rupees to trade with, how do you make sure that you don't blow up that 20K all at once? So the best way to manage risk is to decide on a system, test it and follow it. Now what a system is, that it's a set of rules, it's a set of parameters, it's a set of things that you keep in mind when entering or exiting from a trade. So that's a system. You test that system, that under these circumstances this system is working well, this is possibly going to be the max risk in that system, and this is going to be the max profit. And then you actually follow it, because you need to stick to it. You can't just say that no, today I don't want to stick to the system, then because your risk reward gets hampered. So that's what you need to keep in mind as well. Now your stop loss, again, these are the best ways to manage your risk. Stop loss caps your losses, very easy to understand. Position sizing. So this is a slightly trickier topic on the face of it, but in actuality it's very easy to understand. For instance, let's say that you want to buy at 350, you want to sell below 330. So if the price comes below 330, you're like, okay, no, I'm out of the trade, I accept my loss gracefully. You also want to lose no more than 2,000 rupees in total. So what you do is 350 minus 330 is 20. 20 into 100 is 2000, which means that you can only afford 100 shares if you want to lose 2000 rupees max. And that means that if you buy 150 shares, you're over leveraging yourself, or rather you're over risking yourself, which means that 20 into 150, 3000. Instead of a 2000 risk, you'd end up having a 3000 risk. So instead of saying that no, instead of 330 then I'll exit at 340 only, instead of doing that, you just say that no, instead of 150 quantity, I'll just buy 100 quantity, and that is position sizing. Very important. Risk reward, only pick up trades which have a favorable risk reward ratio. I have an IGTV video on this on my Instagram at Stock Markets with KR. You can check that out. Essentially what risk reward is, that for every rupee you're risking, how many rupees are you standing to gain? If you're risking 100 rupees, what is the probability of you getting how much more? Like, are you getting 200 rupees for your 100 rupee risk? Are you getting 100 rupees, or are you getting 500 rupees? Essentially that. And finally, you need to be very vigilant on news-based events, because your system might not work at certain scenarios. For instance, RBI policy, you can check the charts, you can see how wild the movements are. Financial budget here, so when next year the budget is announced, you can see how wildly the prices will move. So that is something, again, you need to keep in mind. And this is the real important thing here. 90% of day traders will lose money. And this is not a confirmed statistic, but it is a statistic which many people say that, generally accepted statistic. 90% of day traders will lose money. It's only the 10% that will make it. And what helps you avoid that, what helps you avoid being a part of this 90%, is you need to follow a disciplined approach. You need to do your research, and you need to be confident about your research. And you need to understand and accept, really reconcile with the fact that you will not have a success percentage of 100%. No one in the history of trading has a 100% success rate. I can give that in writing, anyone can. So you need to focus on being net positive, not 100%. Even if you're winning 80, 70, 50% of the times, you need to make sure that the 50% of the times you're wrong, you're earning more than what you're losing the other times. So you need to focus on being net positive. And you need to have realistic expectations. You can't go in like, tomorrow I'll open a brokerage account, day after tomorrow I'll take a trade, the day after that I will go to Lamborghini and I'll say that, man, I want to buy this car and I will pay. You are not going to get that much of returns. You need to set your expectations realistically, because ultimately that is what will help you really push through when you do feel that there's some uncertainty. So have realistic expectations and start very small. If you've got 100k to burn, start with 10k. There's no harm in starting with 10k. See, you're not going to make 50 million out of 100k anyway. So might as well start small, see what it's like, get comfortable, and then put in the additional money, because you will have to pump in additional capital. So that, and take calculated risks. Come on. You're watching a market related video, you need to know that you need to take calculated risks. You can't just go in all guns blazing and be like, I'll buy this, I'll buy that, I'll buy this, I'll buy that, without really thinking about the risk. Because risk is the only thing which is certain. Risk is the only thing you can control. You can't control your reward. And your reward is a probability. But your risk is a certainty. And that risk is something you can control. So you need to take a very calculated risk. And finally, accept losses gracefully. Goes in line with our risk reward thing, and so on. And our system. Also, don't be blindfolded by greed. This is very similar to this. Have realistic expectations. Do not think that your 10,000 rupees starting capital is going to get you 5 lakh rupees the next day. In fact, it might not even get you 5 lakh rupees in that year. It might, but it might not. So you have to be realistic with it. You need to be sustainable with it. Think about it. If you're putting in 10k, most reputed mutual funds and money managers will only give you 10k, pay 1800 rupees back. So, come on, think about it that way. They aren't fools there to give you that little return. Sure, you can earn more, but you have to be realistic. So yeah, how the big bucks are made. Now, I am personally a day trader and a swing trader and a positional trader and partially an investor also, you can say. But the big bucks are really made in swing trading and positional trading, which means that, I think this is something we spoke about in the second episode of this series. Swing trading, either one day to a few weeks. Positional trading, few weeks to a few months. And that's where you can really capture most of the move. For instance, when COVID hit, when the COVID sell-off started, back in March, many people bought a lot of shares when Nifty was trading at near lows, 52-week lows. When most stocks were at 52-week lows, or some were even at all-time lows. So at that point of time, many people bought and they are still holding it. What that has helped them do is that their investments are up 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, several multi-fold returns have been generated by some good stocks like Reliance only. I think it made a low of 800, 900 rupees. The high that it saw is I think around 24, 37 or 75 or something. That gives you an idea. That's a 3.5 times increase. So that. And before we go, you can get all the knowledge in the world, but it will be useless unless you apply it and execute. Remember, knowledge alone is not power. Application of that knowledge and execution is power. So make sure that you make use of whatever you hopefully learned in this series. If you do further research, which I strongly recommend you to do, make sure that you take all of that information and actually implement it. Action on it, otherwise it's going to be useless. There's no point in information just sitting here and then chilling in your mind. You actually have to make it work, and you need to make it work for you. So with that, thanks a lot for listening. That's all, folks. And anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. At the start, you are never going to be the best at it, but what really matters is that you sort of build upon what you know. you build upon, you know, what you already know, and then what you will end up knowing. It's again, you remember the power of compounding, right? Knowledge also compounds. So make sure that you really do understand these things, you really do take action on it. And if you've got any further questions, comments section are your best bet, or you can just check my Instagram, Stock Markets with KR, for more information, and I'll be happy to help you. That's it for this one. See you in the next. Happy trading, happy investing, happy stock marketing.